Shalom, Israel. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to our beloved elders and apostles at Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to all you hopeful elect Akim out there that are laboring by pushing this word in truth and sincerity. This is your brother Nahar, out here from the Hebrew Israelites of Idaho camp, coming at you with a lesson about the basics of martial law. So I'm just going to get right into it. It's not going to be a long lesson, but I want to get as much info in that I can. So we're going to start out with just defining it. What is martial law? Martial law is defined by Merriam-Webster as the law administered by military forces that is invoked by a government in an emergency when the civilian law enforcement agencies are unable to maintain public order and safety. So this topic has kind of been on my mind because a lot of these things are going to happen in the very, very near future. And we need to be, a little bit rehearsed and up to date on kind of what's going to happen when that does go down. And we understand that Isaiah, when all this is going down, Isaiah 33 and 6 is going to be on our mind, on all of our mind. Abaratazah, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai gives us that spirit, to endure because only the elect are going to endure. So I wanted to start out Isaiah 33 and 6, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is his treasure. Salakia. So this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding is what is going to get us through. Because when there is a blackout, you have no access to information. Information and news will be, in a way, uh, more valuable than the paper FDR notes that you have under your bed, you know, because that's going to give the stable mind when everyone out here is bugging. You're going to be sitting back just watching the show, per se. So, like I said, I want to stay on topic. This is martial law, the basics. So I wanted to start out what happens when martial law is in effect. Under martial law, military leaders assume executive, legislative, and judicial powers. When martial law is in effect, military leaders might impose curfews and media blackouts. So they're going to make sure you're in your house and they're going to control the narrative, pretty much like they kind of did on the first lockdowns, but without the martial law. And this is suspend the writ of habeas corpus. And that is going into your I plead the fifth, that everyone has a right to a speedy trial, which goes into the Constitution, but the Constitution will be null and void. So you're not going to have those, I don't consent to a search and I plead the fifth. No, I'm going to break your teeth in and take your shit. And that's the mind frame that the military is going to be in, because anybody that's resisting is going to be automatically looked at as an enemy of the state and be tried in military courts, because the regular courts are not going to be up and running when all hell's breaking loose. The next is commandeer businesses. So it's pretty much take over, take control of any production facilities, which I'll get to in the next couple slides. The next one is control hospitals and emergency facilities. That's right, because there's going to be a lot of collateral damage by the military, by other people, eating other people, per se, and literally, because there's going to be a famine hand in hand, because people don't realize famine and war are pretty much peanut butter and jelly. They go hand in hand. This is Next one is regulate wages and working conditions and require mandatory fingerprinting and identification for civilians. So what do you think they're going to be pushing during this time? The Karagma. This is continuing. Civilians who commit crimes or violate military orders face military tribunals, which is courts, if civilian courts are unavailable. For more information, blah, blah, blah. So this is what I wanted to go over next, is that a part of what the military is going to do in taking control over everything, that means everything. And I'm going to go into detail right here, right now, right here. In the NDAA, which is National Defense Authorization Act, only the president had the authority to abrogate legitimate freedoms of U.S. citizens. What is extraordinary in the new executive order is that the supreme power is designated through the president to the secretaries that run the government itself. Salakia. So what that means is the government is going to pretty much hand over different sections of the country over certain powers that be that are already overseeing those things. And that is the example below. And by overseeing those things, I'm talking about, the president of the DOD, which is Defense Department of Defense, et cetera, different branches of the government, but it's all going to be run and overseen by the military. All of this is going to be controlled by the military. This is the Secretary of Defense has power over all water resources. So if you're a farmer and you have a private well, that private well now belongs to the US military. Next, the Secretary of Commerce has power over all material services and facilities, including construction materials. And that's what you saw kind of in World War II, even though it wasn't martial law. But a lot of the factories that were producing cars and pots and pans and metal, things like that, started making bombs and bullets and bunker material. An example, they militarized the private corporations that are inside America already that have the infrastructure set up to build those things. They changed the uses over. This is the next one. The Secretary of Transportation has power over all forms of civilian transportation. So you're not going to be able to go to and from. And remember this mode of transportation when I go into the scriptures at the end. But Abba Ratzas, I'm gonna try to keep this under 10 minutes to make sure that the memory on my phone doesn't go away and that the most information just gets out there. This is the Secretary of Transportation has power over all forms of civilian transportation. Remember that. You're not going to be able to go anywhere freely. And that's why I read it twice. This is the Secretary of Agriculture has power over food resources and facilities, livestock, plant health resources, and the domestic distribution of farm equipment. So, food is going to be a weapon, and they're going to use it very mightily, like they have been already that we've been seeing with these shortages, so called. The next one is the Secretary of Health and Human Services has power over all health services. And that goes into the health of your children. If they don't see that you can take care of them, that you're not karagma-ing them up, you're not giving them that juicy juice Kool-Aid with the extra sugar, they're going to have the power to literally take your children from you. And this is the Secretary of Energy has power over all forms of energy, and that's your dams, your nuclear reactors, your wind turbines. Anything and everything can be used for and only for the military. The next one I wanted to do is what happens when martial law is declared. When martial law is declared, the military commander of any given area is given unlimited authority to make and enforce laws. To make and enforce laws. So if he says you got to jump down the street on one leg, you better be jumping down the street on one leg. And that's the type of laws, not like that. This is just an example that they can pull out their ass and you have to follow it. This is continuing. This typically occurs when civilian authority, such as the government or police force, can no longer function and is made completely absent. Because a lot of these police officers are going to be dropping their badge and run, to their families to defend their own home. But they're going to get caught up in the mix just like everybody else. This is continuing. Martial law also suspends all existing laws, as well as civilian authority and legal system. That's your constitution. That's your amendments. All the things that make so-called America great, which, this is just the land of the free, home of the slave. So it's not going to be too far-fetched to be able to see that the draconian laws are going to be in full effect. What I wanted to bring out is 2nd Esdras 15 and 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Woe means destruction. Verse 15, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men. So like I'm jump up to 15, and that sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And the sword is Esau, Edom, these Gurga troops. One people shall stand up to fight against another. You're going to have water wars, class wars, race wars, canned food wars. Patriot. I'm a gun ho. This is America, goddammit, spirit out there clapping it out with the feds, the alphabet boys, and swords in their hands. And we know what the modern day sword is. It's a gun. Continuing, verse 16, For there shall be sedition, and sedition goes against your authorities, your governing, your kings, your princes, etc. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor their princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power, which is part of the reason why martial law is going to be declared in the first place, because it's going to be kill on sight. Because a lot of what happens during martial law is there's curfews, very strict curfews that are going to be put into effect. So any man that decides to go here or there is not going to be able to, which is the next verse. Verse 17, 2 Esdras 15 and 17. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, because this is the point I wanted you to remember. When the government is going to take over all modes of transportation, that's your personal car, the road that you drive on, the gas that you put in it. So guess what? You're stuck. This is continuing. Verse 18, for because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. So for that pride, Esau, Edom, book of Obadiah, thinking this never is going to happen to him. These Edomites got another motherfucking thing coming. The cities shall be troubled. That's cities. That's a condensed population. And that's why they have the freeway system set up as it is, because they can control who goes in and out a lot easier. This is continuing. The houses shall be destroyed, because bombs are going to be going off, fires are going to be started. That neighbor down the street that you never liked, hey, fuck it, this is the time and this is the place. It's going to be like the purge. And men shall be afraid. So how much more so the women, the children, the elderly? Continuing, 2 Esdras 15 and 19, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of lack of bread and for great tribulation. So these people are going to be going through hell. And like the saying goes, when a man has nothing else to lose, he loses it. So these people already see their country slowly slipping away from their grip. And when they finally see that it's happening, these people are going to lose it. All those gun-ho 3%ers, militia, this and that, hey, they're going to be really about it while Jake's busy in the party spirit, still trying to live it up in the last little bit of summer. These Edomites, these Edomites, Salakia, are getting busy, man, getting ready, getting trained for what's coming, because they know exactly what is coming. Because this is Zephaniah 1 and 14. The great day of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, is near. It is near and hasteneth greatly, even the voice of the day of the Lord, Yahweh. The mighty men shall cry there bitterly. Again, showing that the men are going to be crying there bitterly, because they don't have that stability and strength and knowledge and wisdom that's going to be the strength of their salvation, because they weren't building their house on a solid foundation. They were building on sand. And this society, if you put your investments into it, is sand, because it's going to topple as soon as the storm comes. Verse 15, the day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness. So there's going to be a lot of confusion. There's probably going to be no electricity. People are going to be going crazy, because we know these fat ass Americans have never felt the pangs of going without, not having AC, not having power, not having running water, not having sanitation systems, not having 911 at your beck and call, i.e. these women. This is verse 16, a day of the trumpet and alarm against the fenced cities and against the high towers. And we know America as the unwalled, the land of unwalled villages, because they don't ever think it's going to happen again. So if the fenced cities are troubled and alarmed, how much more so the wide open ranges, the cities, the small towns here and there that have resources that the government is just going to roll on and take. This is verse 17, and I will bring, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai will bring this, and I will bring distress upon men, and they shall walk like blind men, because they have sinned against the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and their blood shall be poured out as dust, and their flesh as the dung, because it's going to be nothing but shit. Verse 18, neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath. Because even if you do have tangible silver and gold, even then it's not going to save you. But the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy. He for he shall make even a speedy riddance of all them that dwell in the land. And that's fast forwarding in the future when those ICBMs ultimately hit here in Babylon the Great and wipe this place clean. So this is the last one. This is 2nd Esdras 2 and 27. Be not weary, for when the day of trouble and heaviness cometh, others shall weep and be sorrowful, but thou shalt be merry and have abundance. Going into Isaiah 33 and 6 again, and this applies to the elect. Verse 28, the heathen shall envy thee, but they shall be able to do nothing against thee, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Because that Thawah, going into Ezekiel 9, 4 through 6, continuing, verse 29, my hand shall cover thee, so that thy children shall not see hell. And hell is just another word for the grave. And we are looked at as the little children. Also, the brothers that do have families, trust and believe that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai can make miracles happen and expect miracles in those days. So, I kind of wanted to just blast this information out and make sure that it, gets on the web and the warning goes out. And with that being said, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakudash. Double honors to our beloved elders and apostles at Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to all you hopeful elect Akim out there pushing this word in truth and sincerity. Shalom.